In today's video, I'm going to be showing you all of the locations on the map in Grounded. It's important to note that these locations come under the data tab in the game, which means you probably need them all in order to 100% the game, as you do need every piece of data in order to get 100%. We're going to start by going over the map here, starting from the bottom right. As you can see, tons of locations. I'll go through them all as we go over the map. So over at the hedge to begin with, you obviously have the field station and hedge ascent. You probably have discovered these. You need these to get into the hedge. It's one of the first super chips you get. You've got the juice box here. You might have discovered this, but sometimes if you don't look at it at the right angle, it doesn't discover. Then deeper into the hedge, you've got the fizz-am can. This is underneath the hedge, so you'll have to drop down to get this one. The Flingman flying disc, which is a frisbee that you walk on top of. You probably have this. You've then got the mixer, which is obviously underneath the hedge, and the hedge lab breach and the hedge lab itself. These are the entrance to the hedge lab essentially, and the actual lab. You probably have these if you've got the super chip. Then you've got the Labbie's can, which is in the water in the middle of the wetlands, as well as Rash, who's our boy, the big frog-looking tough dude. Obviously, you've probably discovered him. You've got the yoked girth head. This is right above one of the caves on the map. Pretty easy to find. This is a field station by the fallen branch. Another easy one to get. You've got the four-leaf clover, which you have to do a bit of swimming to get to, but still another one you should have, especially if you've got that coup de grace mutation. You've got the chop can. It's right next to a field station. These are two that are right next to each other. You should have these. Then you've got another couple of field stations over here. One of these is actually underground. You'll need to bomb into a lava cave. The entrance to the cave is right here, actually. I have it marked with a waypoint. This is the entrance to the lava cave. You'll have to fight quite a few lava and then use a bomb to get through, and you'll find the field station, which is down here. You've also got the lemon crime puncho over here as well. This field station has a lot of stink bugs near it if you haven't plugged the haze, so be a little bit careful with this one. Then you've got the squirts can. This is the big milk carton that was recently added in 1.0. You've got the Whelp flavor drink, which is a can that's been there forever and a day, it feels like, as well as the raspberry puncho, which has also been there for quite a long time. Then you've got the oak lab, of course. You need to go in here to res burgle. If you haven't got this one, then you're a bit behind in the game. We've got the old anthill entrance, as well as the field station that's over here. Then you've got the Tropicop puncho, which is another juice box that's just near the mysterious machine. Again, you should have this. You've got the ice caps mints, which are the mints in a box. You can't obviously open the box, but you don't need to have discovered it. You've got the field station and the baseball, which are both right next to spawn. You should have both of these very, very easily. Then you've got the mixer that is just near the anthill. This is probably the easiest mixer in the map. You should probably have this one. Then you've got the Jabby Cola, another can on the map that you need to find. You've got the Frankenline, which is another big thing that you can use to draw pictures on. It's pretty cool. And the Garden Gnome, another new thing introduced in Grounded 1.0. He's a giant-looking gnome. While you're over by the Garden Gnome, you have also got the Upper Yard Ascent here, which some people don't discover because some people use shortcuts like I do via the Frankenline to parkour up, but make sure you've discovered this location. It's very important to get. Then, as we head into the haze, you have got a field station that's on the outskirts of the haze, as well as the Peach Fuzz Puncho, which you do need to discover if you want that juicy mutation. You've got the mixer that's in the haze, another one that is relatively early game that should be pretty easy to do, and the haze lab itself, of course, which you need to do to get the super chip. Over here we have the exposed pipe. This is one of the alternative entries to the haze lab. You need to make sure you discover this. You got the leaning shovel, which you use to get onto the picnic table. Another exposed pipe, which you need to go into to get the key for the Minotaur maze. Then, on top of the picnic table itself, you have the field station. You've got the Minotaur maze's end. This is just the end of the maze, essentially. You've got the cooler box, which you need to hammer to get on top of the table, so you've probably discovered this. And then you've got the Milk Molar bottle. This is actually underneath the picnic table, so make sure you get this one as well. In the sandbox, we have the mixer. This is pretty easy to discover, obviously. You've got the sandbox lab outpost. This is right in the middle of the sandbox. It's just a little lab. You'll need the assistant manager keycard to get inside, but I think you can discover it from the outside. You've got Black Ant Hill Descent. This obviously takes you into the Black Ant Hill. Finally, in the sandbox, you've got the field station, which you'll, of course, use if you're in the sandbox to analyze all the antlion stuff while you're there. Heading into the trash heap, we have the Black Anthill Lab. This is where you fight the assistant manager. Very easy to find. You've got the Yoked Girth Blister Pack. This is a piece of plastic packaging that you need to find. There's a milk molar behind it, so you definitely want this one. This was a new one added in 1.0 as well, so if you're missing one in the trash heap, this might be it. You've got the Black Anthill Descent. This is another entrance to the Black Ant Hill. You've got the trashed arts. This is a giant computer. Can be a bit weird to register, so I recommend you go inside the trash can, climb all the way up, and then usually from above it discovers a lot easier. You've got the crushed LeBees can. This is inside the trash can. You just need to look at the right can. There's a bunch of them in there. And then you've got the field station. A lot of people miss this one. It's hidden around the back of all of the trash heap, so make sure you get this one. Let's go into the pond. You've got the field station here in the giant pagoda. You've got the T-Rex, which is in the underwater portion of the pond. You have the pond hatch. This only will register once you've completed the entire pond lab and got the super chip. This is the pond dome. You need to press the button right next to the super chip in the pond lab to completely reveal the dome, and then you go outside and look at the dome and it'll register as a location. Then you've got the pond lab itself. To get inside of here, you need to have done the 3 breakers, and then it'll register when you look as you go into the pond lab. You have the wedding ring. This is hidden under a rock underwater, quite deep down. Should be relatively easy to find. Then you have the plant pot, which is right next to it. This is a giant sunken flower pot underwater. Then you've got the Calvo can, which is actually in the water, but you probably want to discover it just by walking along next to it along the rocks. And finally, the depths mouth. This is another entrance to the pond depths in the game, which should also be very easy to get. Next, we're going to head into the upper yard. You've got the field station right here. This is one of the few field stations in the upper yard. There's not as many as there is in the lower yard. You've also got the charcoal hot springs. This is important. You're obviously going to need charcoal to build the oven for a lot of stuff later on in the game. And you've got the mixer over here. This one's tucked away a little bit, but you definitely need to discover it. As you head into the upper yard, you've got the abandoned gardening glove. This is a giant gardening glove that has some lint inside of it. Make sure you discover this. There's also some raw science on top of it. You've got a field station that's on top of a giant log by the termite's nest. And then you've got the actual woodpile entrance. This was a new one added in 1.0 as well. It's at the very top entrance to the woodpile where all the wolf spiders are. So make sure you go into this from the top, or you can go all the way through the termite nest and then come out of it from below. We have the Buster Cap gun. This is underneath where the green shield bug is. There's a lot of gunpowder here as well. I definitely recommend you discover this. You also have the dirty ashtray and the full-size scabby. These are on top of the table. You'll need to climb up the bomber baseball bat onto this chair, then climb up another bat and jump onto the table here to get these two. You also have the Sam Squatch dirt bike. This is a giant bike, very hard to miss. You can literally see it on the map right here. As I mentioned, the bomber baseball bat, you'll probably get this just by climbing up it towards the other two that I mentioned. You've got the Undershed entrance right here. This is underneath the table again. You'll have to swim under a little gap. Another one that's pretty easy to get. And you've got another field station in this location right here. This one's on top of the step. Then in the top here, you've got the JavaMatic and the JavaMatic storage facility. The JavaMatic is the big machine itself. The storage facility only unlocks once you're very deep into the game. You have to have unlocked the JavaMatic lockdown process in order to unlock this facility, so don't worry about it until then. Not a lot of landmarks in this general area right here. It's pretty blank, to be honest. You've got the Fizem can here. This is just another can on the map. You've got another field station right here that you have to discover. You've got the jungle anthill. This is one of the hardest ones I found to get. It's just another entrance to an anthill. There's a giant action figure next to it. Then you've got another field station here, another one that's easy to get. You've got the Christie doll car. This one is a giant pink car, very easy to find. If we head up this way, you've got the Yogi Swolehead. This is at the bottom of the fire anthill. Another one that's very easy to find. It also has a scabby underneath it as well. You've got the lawnmower here. This is giant. You just need to go underneath it and it'll register as a location. And you've got the lawnmower anthill, which is an entrance to the anthill from underneath the lawnmower. Then over here, you've got the stump. Again, a very big location, easy to discover. And the stump lab outpost. To unlock this, you will have to have beat the assistant manager, and you need to activate it from within the pond, which will cause it to unlock this entrance. You also have this field station over here, which was recently moved from this location over here. We also have the wheelbarrow here, and another field station. This one is very high up. You can get to it by parkouring, but it's very difficult. I recommend if you've parkoured up there once, you take stuff with you to build a zip line and place a zipline endpoint so you can zipline up there many times over and over. You don't want to do the parkour ever again once you've done it once. Over here we have Castle Moldork. You just need to look at this from afar, as well as the mysterious lab, which is inside of the Moldork castle. In order to get inside of the mysterious lab, though, you're going to need to have unlocked Wendell later on in the story. Then you have the field station over here near the Black Widow den. And then finally, the Undershed area. You have the entrance, which I mentioned earlier. You have the field station, which is in the Undershed. It's just right on this location here. You've got the Undershed sinkhole. This is the giant hole in the ground in the Undershed. If you just look at it, it should register. And finally, the Undershed lab. This is at the end of the Undershed. You go inside the lab. It's in the room, the very first room of the Undershed lab with the chair in it. You just need to go in there and look in the general right direction and it should just register. If we go over here to the places on the map, I'll quickly scroll through all of them so that you can see every single location, because the easiest way to find them is probably for me just to go through this list and you to see which ones you're missing. Obviously, it won't tell you which field station it is on here. It'll just say a field station. But now that I've gone through the entire map, you should be able to find which field station it is. That's why I've gone through the map, because there are some locations like field stations that don't tell you exactly what they are or where they are in the map. So you're going to need to go through the map in order to find the specific one that you're missing. But I will quickly go through all of these here. As you can see, I do have every single location on the map. There is a lot of locations. As I mentioned earlier, if you're trying to 100% the game, you're probably going to need to get every single one of these locations. So make sure you look absolutely everywhere on the map and check through all of these. They are under the data tab in the game, and the data tab is something that is counted for 7.5% of the total 100% in the game. I'm still yet to get 100%, however, because there is still a file bugged that I mentioned within the first week of 1.0 releasing that still hasn't been fixed. So devs, if you're watching, please can we get it fixed? I've mentioned it about 100 times at this point, and unfortunately it's not fixed. But I'm sure they're working on it. It'll get there eventually, and it'll be good to see when it's there. That's every single location in Grounded 1.0. Make sure you leave a like if you appreciate it. There were a couple of people in the comments that had asked for this video, so I've made it for you. I hope you like it, and go find all those locations. Make sure you get them all discovered. This obviously will help you with Natural Explorer as well, as this is a mutation that requires a certain number of locations to be unlocked in order to get it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next Grounded video.